So I recently watched all the Spongebob movies and I thought to myself, where did the second Krusty Krab go? Who's the real ruler of the seas and why is the Sandy movie so bad? Is there an actual timeline in these movies? Well, yes, I think. So sit down, grab your Krabby Patty and listen.
Are you ready, kids?
So the SpongeBob universe has 5 movies. 6 if you count the upcoming movie Search for Squarepants, which will finally have the Flying Dutchman in it, who will be voiced by Mark Hamill. So, the 5 SpongeBob movies for now are the SpongeBob movie from 2004, The Sponge Out of Water, Sponge on the Run, the Sandy movie, and the Plankton movie. Let's see what these movies are about and how they connect, starting with the first one. Now, the all-time classic The SpongeBob SquarePants movie is no doubt the best of the bunch. In this movie, Plankton tries to steal the secret formula from Mr. Krabs, and he succeeds. He does this by framing Krabs for stealing the crown of King Neptune, the ruler of the sea. He freezes Mr. Krabs, and now SpongeBob and Patrick have to travel across the ocean floor to get that crown and save Mr. Krabs' life. Before any of this happens, there's a big event in this movie that doesn't seem to ever return. Mr. Krabs opens a second Krusty Krab, which is located right next to the original one. Okay, back to the journey of our beloved Sponge and Star. At the end of the movie, they go above the surface. They get the crown and return back to Bikini Bottom, with the help of none other than David Hasselhoff. By the way, look how creepy this life-size stand-in David Hasselhoff is. They return the crown, and Krabs and the rest of Bikini Bottom, who all were brainwashed by Plankton, are saved. So, what did we learn? 1. There is a second Krusty Krab. 2. SpongeBob and Patrick have met a human. And 3. The ruler of the seas is King Neptune. Keep this in mind. Now let's go to the second movie and see, with double E, if it comes before or after the 2004 one. The SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water, released in 2015. Here, again, Plankton tries to steal the secret formula, but he fails. The formula disappears when he is fighting over it with SpongeBob. SpongeBob saves Plankton because he knows he didn't make it disappear. And now the entire town turns into a Mad Max-like world because they are out of Krabby Patties. SpongeBob and Plankton are on the run. Yes, on the run, but not like the movie that comes after this. They travel through time to get the formula back, but that doesn't work. They find a Krabby Patty smell which is coming from above the surface, so they all go there. They fight a pirate with a food truck. They win, and all is well. Okay, that's a quick summary. Now let's see what happens that affects the timeline. So, in this wide shot, we see that there is no second Krusty Krab. Now, of course, maybe to actually save money, Mr. Krabs got rid of it. But I think there's another clue in here that shows us that it all takes place before the first movie. When the team walks on the beach that is filled with people, we get to see their reactions. They don't know what a human is. But in the first movie, they met David Hasselhoff, and they weren't shocked. So, does this mean that it's all a prequel? Also, the movie says that they go out of water, which they indeed do in the last 30 minutes, but actually this happens in almost all the SpongeBob movies. So why is it so special to mention it? Well, maybe they call it out of water because this is the first time they do so. One thing I will say that is weird is that none of the team members dry out, but here's another theory for this. In this movie, everything that happens was written in a book, so it all played out as it was supposed to. At the end of the movie, they burn the book, and the last page that survives has an ending on it. So, my theory is that before all this time that the book has existed, the SpongeBob characters didn't have any problem with being above the water. But now that the book is destroyed and all the rules with it are gone, nature takes over and suddenly they can't go without water. That's why all the other SpongeBob movies where they go above the water, the characters need water to actually stay there. Now let's move on to the third entry. The SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run came out in 2020, 5 years after the second one. In here, yet again, Plankton tries to steal the secret formula. I know this happens a lot in the show, but why does it need to happen every time in the movies? At the end of this video, I'm gonna talk about what I want to see in the upcoming SpongeBob movie, and maybe even movies after that one, because I have some fun ideas. So, in Sponge on the Run, we find out that there's a new ruler of the 7 seas, and his name is King Poseidon. He uses snails to keep his face young, but all his snails are empty. So, Plankton gives him Gary. Now, SpongeBob goes on a road trip with Patrick to find Gary. They kinda go above the water again, but it's a dream, so they don't react super weird about it, they don't dry out, and they don't react weird about humans, so I'm guessing this movie already takes place after Out of Water. We see that Poseidon's kingdom looks a lot like Las Vegas, which makes me think, what if Poseidon is just a fake ruler of the 7 seas, and just is this owner of a casino Atlantic City? Like all the fake Elvis people or minions that walk around Vegas. Anyway, he just rules the Atlantic City, while Neptune rules the entire ocean. This doesn't make it clearer when this takes place, but at least we have a question answer. So, SpongeBob takes Gary back, and with it Poseidon now frees all the snails that he had working for him like slaves. Why does he get unpunished for this? Lock that fish man up. Now, all of Bikini Bottom has snails, or at least most people. We see them working in the Krusty Krab. Now that Krabs has more employees, he can maybe open a second restaurant. So my guess is that this all takes place between both movies that we have talked about already. Also a theory, which can maybe make this even stronger, in the Out of Water movie, Plankton turns friendly at the end. Now I know he tries to steal the secret formula in the next movie again, but I think he is just slowly turning back into a villain again. Which is why at the end of the On the Run movie, he kinda tries to save SpongeBob again. Because there's still a little bit of good in his heart. But this time, he is a little less subtle about it. Which is why he turns more evil again in the 2004 movie. Now for the Sandy Cheeks movie. A spin-off movie that is not about SpongeBob, but still has a lot of SpongeBob in it. This movie should be happy that it's not a review video, because what in Neptune's beard is happening? What are these visuals? Okay, here we follow Sandy Cheeks, as the entire city of Bikini Bottom has been taken by scientists from Texas. The scientists try to make toys out of the citizens of Bikini Bottom. They do this by giving everybody outside of SpongeBob and Sandy pills. These pills make sure that they can breathe above water, which means that it has to take place after the 2004 movie, because Patrick was drying out in that one scene at the end. Also, there is a man walking his snail. Now, yes, there are multiple snails in SpongeBob as we have seen in the show, but we have never seen different snails other than Gary in the movie since On the Run. Now, my theory also is that when Bikini Bottom was grabbed by the claws, the second Krusty Krab broke. I mean, look at how destructive this is. It's how does anything survive? I think this movie takes place after all other 3 movies. Also, who knows what happened to all the snails could be very horrifying. Snails don't really react that well to salt, and when you have snails working at a fast food restaurant, it may not mix so well. So maybe most of the snails aren't with us anymore. And that's the reason why the Krusty Krab 2 is gone? In the Plankton movie, we obviously follow Plankton. And yes, he tries to steal the secret formula again. But how do we know that all this takes place after 2004? Well, in the scene where SpongeBob and Plankton go to the university where Plankton went when he was younger and created Karen, we see that he has a lair, or a place, where he keeps his stuff. In here we see buckets he used in the 2004 movie. And we also see the plane that he used in the Out of Water movie, Air Plankton. I think there may be even more Easter eggs and references in here, but for now this is enough. There also is no second Krusty Krab, so this must take place after the Sandy movie. Let's see closely how this timeline works. Okay, the SpongeBob movie timeline starts with Out of Water, where the team travels to the top of the ocean for the first time. They meet humans, Plankton turns nice, and they break the curse of breathing above the water, for better or worse. Then Gary gets stolen in Sponge on the Run. SpongeBob and Patrick go save Gary and all the other snails with the help of a little less nicer Plankton, who is slowly going back to being evil. The town of Bikini Bottom is now filled with pet snails, who also work at the Krusty Krab. Next up, in the original 2004 movie, Plankton, being fully evil again, frames Mr. Krabs. The two heroes go above the water to get King Neptune's crown back so they can save Mr. Krabs' life, who just opened his second Krusty Krab, which he could do because he has so many new snail employees. Then in the Sandy movie, the Krusty Krab 2 gets destroyed by the Texas scientists, and with gruesome things happening, some snails are not with us no more. And now for the Plankton movie, we see all the past plans that Plankton used. Karen attacked the surface world, and maybe, who knows, in the next movie there will be a war between land and sea? For the SpongeBob movie that comes out in December, I have a couple of ideas. How cool would it be if we get more subtle references like these from the Plankton movie, just so we know when it takes place? I don't even care if they make it a prequel or not, just show us when and where we are. For my next wish, I am done with Plankton stealing the formula. It doesn't happen in every episode in the show, so why does it need to be in almost every movie? There are more villains. I like that they already use different villains like Poseidon or the Burger Beard, but just make them the focus and not Plankton. Maybe for a future movie they can use Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and their villains. I mean, that could be such a fun movie. Or the beloved Doodlebob could make a return. There are so many villains and other characters in the SpongeBob world that can still be used. I don't want them to keep using Plankton. Also, some locations that we have seen in the show could be fun to see in a movie, like a jellyfish field or rock bottom. Anyways, these are my ideas for future SpongeBob movies. Let me know what you think about my timeline theory. What do you think the timeline looks like, and what will the future of SpongeBob hold? Let me know in the comments down below. You can also subscribe while you're at it, because I'm planning on doing more videos like this one in the future. See you all next time. Bye.